All right, we are on and live, and I want to say hi to everybody. Thank you all for coming. I always like to check to make sure that the chat is set correctly and that you can actually communicate with us if you have a question in there. So for those of you that are on already, if you could just pop into the chat and say yes or hi or where you're logging in from today so that we know that everything is working. Fantastic. Maryland, Los Angeles. Oh, that's fantastic. So, Mississippi, Canada, woo! That's fantastic. I've been to Hamilton. It's lovely. We've got people coming in from all over, and a lot of our welcome all of my local PA people. So thanks everybody for coming today. I am thrilled. This is a really exciting conversation because it's kind of a culmination of work that we've been talking about and planning and working on and building over, I don't know, maybe 2 years. And so this is such a great opportunity to talk about it. So for those of you that are new here, I am Beth Brodowski. I am the president of Iris Creative. We are a branding firm that is focused on nonprofit work, and we do brand strategy, identity, events and campaigns, and publications. And it's funny to be talking about publications because I am old and I've been working for a really long time. And when I started, my very first job was at a nonprofit medical device publisher that was kind of like Consumer Reports for medical devices. And so my job was designing and then marketing 40 different publications, from a one-page publication to a 3,000-page book. So over the years, the world of publications have changed tremendously, and they continue to change. So today I'm thrilled to be on here with Erin Dunkel, who is the Vice President of, am I going to get your title right? Vice President of Content?
You got it.
Oh, I got it. At the Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, which we often call PHS. So for those of you that are here, you'll hear us calling it PHS, but it's Pennsylvania Horticultural Society, and they are, how old are they, Erin?
They are 197 years old. So coming up on the 200th anniversary.
Insane. 197 years old. So they are a well-established organization here. They're based in Philadelphia, local to me. And they are well known in our area for doing a ginormous, incredible flower show that people come from. Is it all over the world? People come
all over the world.
All over the world.
Guests all over the world and exhibitors from all over the world. And some plant nerds. We love our plant nerds. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So this is this big organization, but at the heart, underneath all of the glitz and the glitter and the big show, they are a membership organization. Right. And so Erin, why don't we start off? So we're going to be talking about publications. So talk a little bit about the publication, the background of it, like the publication that you deliver for your members, and why it's like such an important touch point at the organization.
Right. So like, as Beth mentioned, we're a nonprofit association, nonprofit organization, society, with about 13,000 members. So this is our real core constituency that we want to make sure that we are giving them all the member benefits that they're signing up for and keeping them engaged throughout the year. So the magazine named Grow, appropriate for lots of plant aficionados. We call them plant nerds. We call them, gardeners. We even call them plant curious. You could just have a house plant and be a member of PHS. And you can come to the flower show and then maybe decide that you want to become a member, and all of the good work that we're doing in town, in the area, is really to use horticulture to advance health and well-being. So that's why people are becoming a member. They really want to buy into that mission. So what we had done as part of that benefit group was to produce a quarterly print magazine. And in fact, we were just looking at this. The Grow magazine has been around for 20 years. It had a couple of iterations before that, but at least during my time at PHS, it's always been called Grow. So quarterly, about 45 to 60 page magazine, full color, perfect bound, sit with your coffee, go through it. Everything from feature articles, photo galleries, little write-ups, tips and tricks, meet a gardener, learn more about maybe a botanical garden in your area. So it's just been this wonderful member benefit that we have continued to cultivate throughout, like I said, the last couple of decades.
And so, it's so interesting to be on this conversation today, talking about a magazine, talking about publications, talking about what I would call long form storytelling. And
Right.
there's a lot of buzz in the world today about how nobody has any attention span and people don't read, and that we all have to be communicating in snippets for anybody to pay any attention. So, Erin, I'm curious, like what's your perspective on that? And like, why do you think that including long form storytelling is still important to your members in the world, in any way you'd want to answer that?
Right. So I still think that people want to, sit, lounge, whatever their device is, they still really want that long form content because everything has been so chopped up. And I'll even call it like chicken nuggetify. That's not a word, but everything is just in little bits and bites. And if you're trying to get into gardening, you're trying to learn, it's a whole discipline. And there is a lot of material. There is, a lot of trial and error when you're a gardener. If anybody on this call is a gardener and says, look, I just can't get plants to grow, there's just this information overload on this specific topic. And so to be able to use that long form storytelling methodology is still really, it's wanted, it's needed, and I think it's appreciated by those new intermediate and advanced gardeners. Beth, you and I are both gardeners, and I would say you're better than I am, but I would say I don't feel like I've learned everything there is to know. I mean, there's multiple thousands of flowers and plants and trees, and here's how, and you're in this zone, and I want this color, and I've got shade, and there's just so many particulars as to how to really be a successful gardener, or just really understanding that whole field of horticulture, that you really need that long form format, whether it's in print or digital, so that someone really can take all that information in, learn it, and then put it into practice and be successful.
And I feel like, you're talking about that from the perspective of gardeners, but I feel like lots of organizations and associations have a similar situation, that there are organizations that people come to for information that needs to be translated, internalized, consumed, that people are looking to get more, to learn more, even from things like long form donor stories. There's so many places where learning a little bit more is really valuable. And in fact, even, statistically, 4-page long annual appeal letters actually historically perform better than a 1-page annual appeal letter. And so I just, part of this conversation is having us kind of consider and explore the idea of where there may be a role for telling something that's what we're calling this is immersive storytelling. So I'm going to actually share my screen for a minute here, and I'm going to show you, sort of a picture of this magazine to help orient you. And so you can get a sense of where things started and what we're doing. You all came here for this conversation on this future of digital magazines. So it's hard to talk about that just conceptually. That we're not going to have slides, but just a couple of images to give you a sense of like, well, what do we mean by the future of digital publications? I know for me, when I started working in this field, digital publication, digital didn't even exist. Publications were newsletters and one sheets and magazines and books and things like that. We produced all that stuff in very traditional form. Believe it or not, we were still producing print designed magazines up until 2 years ago. People often say to me, geez, how do you run, a creative firm when print's gone away? We do tons of print still. There's still a lot of value in it. And in fact, Erin will talk about that later. But we're also in this weird new hybrid world. Over the years, things like email came out, and people, a lot of you, how many of you guys, you all have email newsletters that you're putting out your content on? The challenge with an email newsletter can be sometimes if you put a long story in, you can only really have room for one before people are going to lose attention. And then other times people will take their longer form content and put it up on a blog, things like that. So I'm curious, any of you that are here today, what are you doing right now? Like what kind of ways are you communicating in long form publications? Are you doing it primarily through email newsletters? Do you have a blog? Is anybody doing print still? I'm always curious. So Erin, Jane is asking how old is the Grow audience? Because her membership is 50 plus and digital publishing still isn't publishing in, but everyone 50 under is totally operating on their phone. Was such a great question.
Right, and I actually saw that pop up in the chat as well, and I thought if I didn't get a chance to insert myself here, I was going to try to answer it at the end. But we do have an older demographic, definitely that 50, to 65 age range is going to be our core demographic, and it also skews a little more female heavy. That's just been a traditional gardening audience. Doesn't mean we don't welcome younger folks or males or non-binary. We certainly are open. We just feel like obviously gardening is open and accessible to everyone. But we have also been thinking through what that format change really means to the audience. It's been a little bit more, it's been a higher level of communication to get people to understand. Beth's got the cover of the print magazine up here, that there will be that we are interspersing digital with print. So we have had to communicate that out a lot more often, a lot more, I don't know, firmly, I guess is the word, to our constituency, because they have been so used to getting that quarterly magazine in their snail mail boxes.
Right.
Now we are really making sure that people are understanding you're still going to get the print. We're still happy to provide that print. We still love, again, that idea of sitting with a cup of coffee and paging through a magazine where we want that the publication, right? It's being digitally published. Where we want that publication to go going forward now is to have that interactivity, whether that's on a laptop or an iPad or a phone. It will work on all of those different formats. What you're going to be getting, though, is that online functionality that you really just will never be able to have in a print publication. The older audience is getting used to it. I think they realize it's here to stay, but we didn't want to yank that print version, that print format too quickly. At some point, maybe the print will go away, but I think for right now, we really have a nice mix for that older audience to get their 2 issues in print a year, and then the 4 digital issues a year with that interactivity that, like I said, you just can't get from print.
And it's funny, like a lot of people that are popping into the chat here to see what they're doing. And I think it's so helpful that you all share this so that those of you that are all here can see the range of things that different people are doing. But a lot of you are doing a blend of print and digital, because we're all sort of in this situation where, we've got older people that are still, as we call them, our lovers, the center of our circle. You don't want to yank everything away from them and then have your bottom drop out. But you do need to start evolving and moving. And so this is a digital, the former digital version of the print magazine. So, a lot of times I've been talking about things like putting things up as PDFs, because when we talk about you do a digital version. So I'm also curious about that. So some people are just posting a straight PDF, either in spreads or just as single pages that people can download and page through or look at. Some people are putting it up into a page flipping. This is an interesting one that these guys are using. It actually doesn't flip, it slides. Let's see, am I going to be able to figure out how to get it to turn pages here? Maybe Erin will know how to. I've done this a million times, and now of course it's not flipping. Maybe Brent, of course it's not. Why is it not flipping? I've been in here so many times, and now it's not going to do it. Cover in 48. How do I?
If you click right on the cover, then does it open it up from there?
No, it's not. It's there we go. I'm clicking maybe. Oh, there. Do I have to? Now it's going back. See, I'm gonna try this, and it's anyway. You guys know what I mean. It's a page flipping. Yes.
I'm gonna jump in. There's an arrow. If you look at her elbow on the far right, there's an arrow there.
Oh, there it is. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, there we go.
There we go.
Hiding.
I know. I'm like, why am I not seeing it? It's because I'm live, and everything always goes sideways when you're live.
It was
So
nice.
you can see, and I think this is helpful to look at it, like you see this. Now imagine, I'm sure you guys have been in the same situation, that if you take this and someone's trying to look at it on their phone, it's not going to read well because it's all going to get really small, and then people are pinching and poking and doing things like that. So like that's what this looks like in a print version. And so I think that that's really helpful to see. So now I'm going to show you is when we talk about digital, we're talking about something completely different than a PDF. So this is not a PDF that's turned into this. This is all done from scratch. But I wanted to show you that one so that you could see that was an issue that we did the print magazine, and then we also did it as digital. So now what happens is you have, instead of page flipping, you're having this scrolling experience, which is the way a lot of these tools are going. This is how this kind of process is going. We decided to keep a traditional-ish feeling aspect to the publication. So it still has a table of contents. Sometimes people don't do that, but we wanted it to still feel magazine-y, you know, so we kept a table of contents in here. But then you can see same stories, you know, and it flows down like this, but we can do unique things. Like we can use the real estate really well by having pictures flow into each other. I'm
Right.
going to go a little further. I'm going to say we can put, there's something at some point in here, there's a video. The pages can all look a little different, which is the other thing that I really like about the concept of going digital. In a blog, you're going to have a photo at the top, your headline, and then your copy. Whereas this still has a bit of a beauty and a magazine and a flow to it, because we can make each story look a little bit different.
Right.
And then we can also do something that's really cool is we can have as big of a photo gallery as you want. And things can stay like this, but you can also pop things open and really page through and look at the pictures full screen. And, you know, in this case, this is a garden magazine, and the photographers really like it when we show their whole images. So it gives us this real estate that we can really, you know, explore. If you have a gala, if you have things, you can show all the pictures that you want versus being restricted by this is the amount of real estate you have on an actual page.
Right.
Which
Then
is
we had
really,
we had a really long conversation as we were thinking through this digital format. You know, what was the new skeleton going to look like, right? Because when you have all of the digital tools available, the functionality is different, but we wanted the content to really be able to morph from print to digital. We wanted the font to carry across, again, because we were introducing this to a little bit of an older demographic. We didn't want it to be night and day. We wanted
Right.
it to be, you know, maybe I think we were calling them siblings. So we wanted to make sure that, you know, when someone did have the print magazine at home, if they did want to go online, if they got the link to the digital version in the specific quarter when we were doing the print, we wanted people to be able to share and take advantage and enjoy all of those different new functional pieces for the digital version, but still not miss out on the really good content. And like we were saying, those gorgeous photos, and be able to share it out from there. What we're finding now with the digital version is we have so much more insight, right, into what people are reading and clicking on. And we would never have had that functionality and those data points available to us in a print magazine. How do you tell an advertiser, if they don't have a unique landing page, how many people really looked at their ad? And now we have so much more data available to us. We don't want the data to drive so much that we don't try to be creative on the digital side, but we can then use that data to inform what we want to do. And just because it's online and you can make it, doesn't mean you always should. We can continue to iterate. We can continue to pull some of the engagement, comments, and feedback into the print version, but we still can be a little more experimental and opportunistic on the digital side, you know, like never before.
right. And so people are asking a couple of different questions. And so one of the questions people are asking about is accessibility. And I think that that's really an important thing to think about. And Stacy even brought in that like PDFs are a problem for accessibility. So PDFs are a problem for a lot of reasons. When you, if your PDF is posted on your website and people click over to it, and even in this case, it's on this kind of separate page turning site, Once they go and they leave your site or go into that PDF, you have no idea what happens. Like what Aaron was just saying, you have no data. You don't know if they read the whole thing. You don't know if they look at the ads. You don't know if they click on anything. Even if you put, if you put links in there that you tag, in theory, you can go into your Google Analytics and see if they landed on those links. But it's so much harder to really have a sense of what people are doing. And with like digital publications, because they are, sort of functionally a microsite, there's trackability. You can see that kind of stuff. The other thing is, that there's different ways to build these things. But in our process, it has a native accessibility to it. It's, the technology is just driven with accessibility in mind. When it comes to accessibility, though, I wish I could say it was a simple answer. I really believe that there's 3 parts to accessibility. One part is the build, the technology, is it structured in the right way? Is it mobile? Does it allow you to make things bigger? Is it designed for the kind of core accessibility features? Another part is the design and the designer. Did this designer choose colors that are accessible, not having things too close with each other? And then the third part is content and copy. Are you putting alt tags in? Are you doing different things? Now, in this case for PHS, our goal was bringing the majesty and the beauty and the visual impact of the print magazine through to a digital space. So at a baseline, we have sort of baseline functionality in this one, but it's not our top priority with this audience. And for this reason, these members care about how things look and they want them to be beautiful. So that wasn't something that we went too far into in that, but in other instances, for other people, we've been talking to different universities about this, and at a university, accessibility is hugely important. And so so many universities they have tons of PDFs everywhere, which are just not accessible. And so that's a really important question. I'm going to scroll back here, make sure I'm looking at some other questions that we have in here. Oh, somebody asked, is the digital version mobile ready? All right, I can show you something there too. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. So then here is, so here's another magazine. So then this is a different issue that we did. And same thing, you can see it's got all this scrolling. So this is the desktop version of it, right? So the same issue, this is how it looks on digital. So this is like a preview that we use that you can see, as opposed to pinching, it all restacks things. So it's designed to be incredibly responsive, so that it's going to look great and be very readable, very consumable, very easy to, just use your finger. It's just swiping. So that's how that works. So yes, the answer is it is very mobile forward. Okay, I'm gonna try to make sure. So let's see, let me make sure I get through my other questions that I have here. Okay, so one of the things that when we're going through a transition like this, a lot of people are saying, there's people that are older, there are people that are younger, and then we've got to market it. Now, in your case, this is a member magazine.
Right.
So it's not like your goal is to like get it out there into the world, but the goal is to get members to adopt it. So what are some of the things that you've done through marketing that are helping communicate to people that this new asset is here?
Right. So, so within the organization, I sit in the marketing team. There is a separate membership and development team. So we are certainly making sure that the message to our members is cohesive, right? So, the membership team will make sure that when they are talking about the different member benefits, that they're up to speed on how often is it being published, what's the next few feature stories that members can look forward to. If we were going to have magazines available again, either at our flower show, that's an in-person event, or if we were going to make it for sale, we want to make sure that the membership team is always up to speed on how marketing is getting that out and literally into people's hands. As we were going through the conversation about how to transition this to a digital version, it was a lot of emails and We did have a blog write-up that we said, this is what the new, the new format will look like. So it was sort of previewing, I guess was really the right word. We went through more of like a preview campaign, a teaser campaign, so that we would really get people excited about, well, it's not that we are subtracting. In fact, we are complementing and adding. So we didn't want people to say, well, before we used to get the 4 print versions, now I'm only getting 2 a year, what gives? There were some cost reasons, and I would say that it seemed like there were some chats on, you could see some messages in the chat that did talk about print's expensive. And so I think people in general do like holistically understand that, but that wasn't necessarily the only reason that we decided to add digital. Like I mentioned before, you're just never going to get some of that same functionality and interactivity from a print format. So we wanted to make sure that we were really, really leaning into that messaging with our membership. This is new. This is going to be this is going to be fun. We will make sure that we are pulling your comments and your feedback in. And because it's a digital version, we can come out more quickly with more versions if we want to, if we need to. Right now, we're just keeping it to our quarterly pattern, just because that's that's about as much as we wanted to bite off in this first year, adding the digital. What we have talked about, though, is if we make it a little bit of a quicker turn, maybe a few less elements, but the higher quantity will certainly keep people engaged as well. Anybody who's on this call that has ever worked with a print piece, especially a print magazine, it just takes a darn long time. It's not just putting all the content and the photography together, it's the layout, and then you really just literally have to go on press, and then it's mailing and all of that. So, just that particular format to get it into people's hands is just a more of a time-consuming process. It's worth it, it's valuable, it's enjoyable when you get it, but it's one of those, you're just going to have to wait until it's done. It's not done until it's done. Whereas with digital, you have a little bit more of that quicker turn. It's a little more fluid. It's more dynamic. Doesn't mean
And if
it's
you find a typo, you can fix it.
there you go. Doesn't mean it's better, just different, right?
It's
And
true,
so
exactly.
that's the thing that I think we are still, like I mentioned before, I don't know that we have really tapped all the potential in the digital version that we've been working from, because we've only put out 4 issues now on the digital side. How many more things can we introduce? I don't know that we want to have 10 new things every digital issue. I think that would make our heads fall off, but at the same time, if we're going to try something out, we can try it, we can test it, it will be live. But the real testament will be if people are clicking on it and say that they want more, they have that channel back to our team to help us understand, and also to the membership team. We want more of this, we want less of this. We hear you, and we can adjust and we can iterate much quicker than if we were using sticking just with print.
And so a lot of people are asking about the tool and technology, and Taylor did see, yes. So we have a partnership with a technology that's behind all of this called Shorthand. Believe it or not, there's actually not a whole lot of different tools that are out there that do this. There's another tool out there that's at a very different price point called Megan, get me if I'm right, I think it's called Mag Plus, which does similar things, but it's fairly new. Like, this technology is only about a decade old. So it's new, it's evolving. I'm sure the market will grow. And there'll be more options out there. I'm gonna have to go look at the magazine that Jane posted. Everybody go take a look at that one too. Emergence magazine. So that's great. I would love to see a new one there. And see, like, what technology other people are doing. So, this is a way to kind of keep your eyes out for that, and to look for things that have the style and the level of quality and the features that you're looking for. So, oh, that's interesting. So Ursula's saying that they released their digital magazine before the members get their magazine in their mailbox. So that's another sort of member benefit. So Colleen's asking, are the 2 print editions that you sent out included in the count of 4 digital editions that you do?
Yeah, so I guess if we're doing the math, it's basically 6. It's 6 editions, 2 that are print, when we have the two print, there is a corollary digital version.
Yeah.
And then on the off, I guess the off quarters is when we're doing digital only. So,
Yeah.
we do make sure that we're reminding people, okay, keep your eyes open on your email when it's the winter. Keep your eyes open on your email when it's the summer. I don't know that we necessarily touched on this. The reason that we have done the fall as a print edition and then the spring as a print edition, fall for us is really the just an opportunity for us to talk a lot about produce gardening, right? We're getting towards the end of the season. It's harvesting a lot of different things and then getting the garden ready. And it's more of a look ahead, and it feels like we want that long form storytelling opportunity in print to be able to throw all that into 60 pages for the fall. And then the reason that we're doing the spring version as a print format is because then that is really the precursor to our big flower show. So where we have that legacy audience that has come to the flower show, we want to make sure we're giving them every single opportunity to think about why they want to buy a ticket to that in-person event. And the long form storytelling is just ideal for that. We still have everything, again, digital 4 times a year with the print overlays 2 times a year. But we just feel like for our season and our content stream, fall and spring for us have seemed to be the best opportunities to put those long stories in front of our members.
And so one other thing that's really, I think, fun and interesting and kind of revolutionary about this is a lot of what Erin and I are starting to think about, and Megan is a huge part of this, is what can we do in digital that we can't do in print? Like, how can we make the digital a bonus or an asset? And so, here is like a feature that Megan has designed that's really cool. So this is a story about a garden. This is a house that's in the area that's like it's a private garden. And as you go through the story, we can highlight different areas of the garden and point out, this is what this plant is, and this is what this plant is, and this is what this plant is. And it's such a different and interesting way to be able to do something like that you can't really do in print other than, maybe making a circle and highlighting a picture. But this adds that level of movement and dynamicness that's really cool. So this is one where we did it with images. And then here's another interesting version. I'd love to see something like this with, a timeline or something like that. But Megan's working on this one, which the organization has pop-up, like little gardens all over the city. And so this is a map and a description of where all the different gardens are in a really more visual, interesting, dynamic way. But as you see, it doesn't take up a lot of real estate. If you were going to try and do something like this in print, it would take up pages and pages to try and do it. You probably couldn't fit all of this detail on one page without making things really tiny. So this allows us to use the real estate really well and also use some movement in ways that really can add some dynamicness and interest in like what's happening next factor to things.
Right. One thing, Beth, I don't know that you have easy access to it, but one thing I know that we had designed, Megan took the ball and ran with it, was when we were talking about how to put a compost bin together.
Oh, that one. Yeah, I do have that one.
What can you put in that will be compostable? And it was so much, I don't know, sometimes when you're in the gardening world, it can be a little scientific and it can be a little scholarly. And this was actually fun. This was fun. You can put underwear in a compost pile because it's going to degrade. And then you've got your eggshells and your coffee grounds and your all of these other pieces and things that you wouldn't think about. How would we ever be able to have this sort of fun build in a print version? It would be a very
actually
flat.
we can show that.
There we go. It'd be a very
show.
flat,
so this is what we did. This is a
static
perfect
image.
example, actually. Let me see if I can get all the way through to it. It's pretty far back. Here it is.
Yeah.
So in print, so
Right.
we did this whole custom illustration. But so in print, it's static. It's very cool and it looks great in print. But the cool thing is we basically took this illustration. So Megan built it in lots of layers. And then we
Right.
took all of these little pieces and this looks like it's animated, right? This has this animated feel to it. but what it actually is a series of slides that are just scrolling up on top of each other. So what's cool is that you can get the feeling and the impression of animation without the cost of animation, which is another really cool thing that people are like, what's going to be the next? And the other thing is one of the things that's really interesting in publication design that can be really amplified in this is the concept of pacing. You know, in a publication, we'll do one page that has a lot of color and a lot of image. You might see something that has a big photograph on it, and the next page will have a lot of text, and then the next page might have more white paste. That's to kind of pace your experience as you go through something. But this has a different way of doing pacing. Like, we can control what people see when. So that's really interesting. So Deborah's saying, can you do this in Canva? So absolutely, you can create illustrations in Canva. You can create these as like individual panels or slides in Canva, and then and just put them in, you know, like what we do is, in this case, we make them flow. You know, it's just an interesting, different way to approach something like that. So yeah, oh great, and people are showing some great different things on that. That's fantastic. Love to see how you communicate that. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. So are we doing that? So I have to say, Megan probably knows and I don't. How do we communicate in the print edition to look at, to go find the digital edition? I don't know if we've done that. Megan would know more than me. So Megan, if you have an answer to that, pop that in. So Erin, as we continue to explore what's possible in this technology, in this new world of digital magazine, like, what would you, if you imagine the future of Grow, like, what would you love to see being able to be done in digital that maybe can't be done in print?
Right. So we have definitely embraced video just across the whole organization. So just last fall was the launch of our TikTok channel. So if anybody is not following PHS on TikTok, please do. So that's just obviously a growing area for us in terms of using video to communicate to members and non-members, right? We can certainly be talking about our different spaces and gardening and horticulture and our greening work. So where we want to make sure that we're pulling that video, those video elements in, is also into this digital publication. I think it just really, like we were just saying before, with the photo of it was that photo gallery of the garden, and you really could navigate and maneuver through the digital portion of it. I also feel like a video is that sort of nice beginning, middle, end pacing element. It could be short, it could be long, but we still can pull that into the digital format and people can watch it at their leisure, right? So I would say definitely more video. One thing that we, again, we could always do it in print. We could run, you know, a member poll, or we could run a contest, or we could run, you know, some way for the members to send their information in, but they're not going to see it for like 6 months, because by the time they're sending it in, we're probably already, you know, almost all the way through design on the next version. And so then you have to wait 3 more months for the next quarter to come around for it to be incorporated. And a lot of times, especially with gardening, some of that's not relevant, right? If it's winter, you know, you're probably not in your garden. And so do we really want to talk about what's blooming now because nothing's blooming? So we feel like between contests and polls and, you know, more of the user generated content, that's going to be where we'll really be able to pull in some more of that functionality on the digital side. One thing that we have not incorporated yet, but we are in deep discussion about it, is how we're going to be able to pull in our different advertisers' ads, right? So we have lots of print advertisers, you know, a lot of folks, you know, again, this is this 20-year print pub. How do we get all of those advertisers to sign on to make digital ads? They're going to get great data. They're going to see who's clicking on what. And we are making sure that we're giving them really just this nice kitchen sink in terms of ad inventory, but not have it so ad heavy that people are scrolling and having to scroll past so many ads that it's not really worthwhile in terms of a viewing experience. So we want to make sure that, you know, if it's either a banner if it's maybe some content with, within some of the stories, if it's off to the side, that it's approachable, it's engaging, it's driving results, but at the same time, it's not so salesy that our members are turned off by it.
Mhm. And one of the cool things is that one of the things we're going to be able to offer to advertisers is to utilize the features that we have available in the publication to create their ad. They can put a static, square or rectangle ad into it. But, I showed you that picture where the two photos blend into each other. That can be a photograph, but that's that's a slide. So an advertiser can put in two different images and let them fade into each other, and they can get more of their story, more language out there, than they could if it was just a single print ad, which is interesting, and we're hoping is going to be exciting to advertisers, that they like that there's a little bit of dynamicness that they can even use in their advertising that makes it feel a little more native and integrated into the content. Fantastic. So, if anybody, I want to make sure I pause here and say, you guys have been great. You've been asking lots and lots of questions. If there's any other questions, you can pop them into the Q&A, or you can just keep putting them into the chat. I'm trying to keep an eye on all of that as well. And Megan's in the background. Exactly. So that is really, so we can do all of that. And then also I want to say before, as we're coming into wrapping this up here, I want to make sure I'm answering any of your questions. But if any of you are here today and you have lots more questions, or this is interesting enough to you and you have publications that you would love to, consider, having something like this created for you, if you'd like to talk to me about this, I'm happy to set up calls with anybody. Megan has a link in the link that she'll pop in. If you just want to schedule a 15-minute chat with me to say, tell me more about this, tell me more about the technology, you want to talk about your publications, what you're doing, how it could help, and what the costs are for doing something like this, book a call and we can really talk about it in more detail and learn a little bit more about, what you're trying to achieve and how this might or might not be helpful for you. Okay, so Taylor's asking if it's a viable option for event brochures. It can definitely be. So let me show you a couple of other things. So I have Erin here, so I was focusing a lot on the kind of things that we're doing with Erin, but also, so here's a quick example of this is an annual report. So with annual reports, there's an online tool called Yearly that some people use for annual reports. But if you're using something like this, you don't have to limit it to just oh, well, I'm only going to do our publication. Some of you have multiple publications a year, but you have once you're doing it, if anything that you might have that's long form content could be done in this type of a format. So this is an example of an annual report. And then, for us in our company, we do this program called Careers in Art. And so we created an event page for it. So, Taylor's asking about an event brochure. So this is an event. So in this case, this is an animation. So we created the animation in in a whole different software package, and then brought it in as a video. So it functions like a video in here. But we wanted this little animated piece to create some dynamicness at the top. But then as it goes through, it talks about an event. So this is an event where we bring people working in the arts together to talk to high school students about how they could create a career and all the different pathways to careers in the arts. So this is an event brochure about, and this brochure is designed for other schools to say, hey, we do this program at this school. If you'd like us to host this program at your school, here's a little information about it. But I think this could be a great, if you have sponsors for your event, a great way to do a sponsor prospectus, and because you could put video into it. You could really give people, here's what this event felt like last year. And then if you do event, do it as an event brochure, it's also an opportunity to give real estate to your sponsors, even in the promotions where there can be links and active things for people to learn about. And as you can see, I'm scrolling through all of this, right? But there's also, if you see right here, there's links here that you can jump quickly to any section to get to it. So there's lots of ways to kind of navigate through something like this. So, okay, so then have we done anything with Rotary? So no, we haven't done anything to Rotary, but if you're with Rotary, we'd be happy to talk to you. So have we found the software to be reliable in the accessibility space? And Taylor, I would say so far, so we've been using it for a little over a year. So far, I would say at a baseline level, yes. Are we able to meet WCAG 2.0 standards? We have yet to have a client that's pushed to that level. We have one client that we didn't actually use this for. It was before we started using this technology. It's a very large university, and they have like the most extreme, I don't know, restrictions on things that must be accessible. So we did a teeny tiny little microsite for them for the volunteers that work with just the law school's reunion. Super, very narrow focus. Probably 12 people a year are going to use this website. And we had to fill out the entire compliance document for WCAG 2.0. So like the world is going that way. Accessibility is going that way. And so I would say is that the tool itself is built with absolutely solid, reliable baseline accessibility standards. But if you don't have a designer that is also thinking about color and size and fonts and the type of pictures and not embedding, like, so you might have seen on some of Erin's work, we had like a beautiful font that was embedded into a picture. That's right, that works for her audience, but for an accessibility audience, that wouldn't work. So I would do things differently if we had a client that was leading this transition because of accessibility. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, and
Right.
also the writer, like, when you're coming to something that you want it to be accessibility, if we're not doing the copywriting and the client is providing the copywriting, you have to start thinking about copywriting doesn't just mean the on-page work, what's the off-page work? So accessibility means you're going to have to write alt tags for things. You might have to also write a pretty direct description of a photo that actually sits as a caption on the page. So there's multiple levels to that all of those things have to really be working for you to, depending on your level. If your goal is to pass the WCAG standards, then it's an insane amount of stuff that you have to check off the box. But there's also very simple things in lots of places, like, just sort of baseline things that you can do, like make sure that you don't have things overlapping each other and the general color choices that you make. Okay, anything else? Sorry, I've got a couple of questions popping in here. Jane's asking, oh, I didn't clearly get your response on the question, which is more expensive to produce, print or digital? Okay, sorry about that. I missed that question before. I mean, I would say in general for people, the answer is it depends. But Erin, do you have a sense of, on the months that we just do the digital, are you spending less money than on let's just say before we even did this, on a just single digital issue? Is it costing less than when you would do just the print issue, including all of the writing, the design, the printing, the mailing?
Right. So it's still it depends. But what we had seen when we were doing the digital issues was we actually chose to produce a little less content because of the format. So you can certainly sit and read a magazine from start to finish or put it down and pick it back up. But we could deliver more content that would be consumed in the print format. When we're doing the digital format, because there's just an attention span level that we want to be mindful of. We're putting less content and photography into the job, into the process. And so that's why the digital versions are less expensive. What I will add, though, is depending on what technology you choose, you have to make the investment in the technology so that won't go away. You could do, two digital versions. You could do a digital version a month, but you still have to make that initial investment into the technology. If you're doing the print, you're always going to, a print version, you're always going to have paper costs, you're always going to have mailing services, and you're always going to have postage. You might have 10 pages, you might have 50 pages, you might include ads, you might not. So some of it it depends. And it depends on what you want that user experience to be. If you want someone to really read that nice trove of information, I would say that's probably better to go into print. And some people keep their back issues. If you just want the digital to be just a nice engaging, thorough, interactive, dynamic read. You could get away with probably a little less content, but then I think people would expect it to come out a little more often, so that they can sit and do it and, read it, take it in, and then move on.
Right. And the other thing is, we've also seen, so this is how we're doing this with Erin, because it's a magazine. We designed it to be all one cohesive flow because we wanted each magazine to feel like a single distinct package. We've also seen, other people doing things like this where it's more like a blog category page where, where we would have had the table of contents that you saw in the beginning. If you clicked on any of those things, instead of going down on the page, some people pull each story off into its own individual story so that that individual story can then be used on its own, distributed it's on its own, and that it's not, you get less of the scroll factor and more of a, I'm going to this place, I'm going to this place, I'm focusing on this, while still being able to get back to the main one. And that can be really valuable. One of the things that I like about doing this digitally is that it gives you a lot more assets to work with. I was talking to somebody about, taking it, like I got a question here. I see you about the annual report. It's just, Lindsay, I'm going to get to you back to you in 1 second. So, somebody that I was talking to about doing a project like this said, we put all this time and energy into doing this big, beautiful, comprehensive annual report. And at the end of the process, we get one asset out of it. When you go digital, because you've got all these different links, or even if you break it up into technically separate stories that just are all grouped together, you then have individual pieces and components that you can market out at different times, that you can share individual stories on social. You can link to them in different ways. We've even seen people that, some of you say you have a blog, that this is a blog that you're using. What we can do is we can like with PHS, we have an embed code. So this content can be distributed on its own, but it can also be embedded between a header and a footer of your existing website. So you don't get that URL that takes you to somewhere else. It's on your site, but all it is an embed code that we can give to you and put it on there, and it just flows beautifully in with your site, which can be a really great thing because then you're not taking people elsewhere and doing different things. But also we've seen people who have a traditional blog and maybe aren't ready to blow that whole system up. Maybe most of your stories on your blog work perfectly fine with a photo and a headline and a story, but maybe you had a gala, or maybe you did an incredible distinctive program, or maybe you've had some really great outcomes and you want to tell a bit of a more immersive story. Maybe you want to tell a donor story. You could take this, and then when you're on your blog, instead of clicking to the inside of your regular blog page, you can link from your category page to something like this, so that while most of your stories look the same, if you have something special, you can highlight it. It's pretty cool. So hopefully that's helpful. There we go. Okay, I've got a bunch more questions in here. Oh, so somebody's asking how long Digital Grow has been happening and if we've gotten any member feedback. One of the things about, they're a little slow to give us feedback, but it's out there. So we're coming up on our 4th issue. So we're I don't know, 3/4 of a year into doing it this way.
Right.
What have you heard? Anything, Erin?
Right. So when we first announced that we were going to go to digital, we did get some feedback with folks saying, please don't, go all digital right away. And so we really took that into consideration. That was our initial thought, was let's just cut all the print. And we thought, that's pretty dramatic. And I don't know if everybody's quite ready for that yet. I don't even know that we were all quite ready for it, because it is a pretty dramatic change. We decided let's toggle between the print and the digital. Yes, we're still doing 4 digital, but let's toggle between the print. And I think that was just a nice balance, really keeping in mind who our user audience is, what would they feel comfortable doing, and what did we feel comfortable producing. We are still getting more of our audience, in this case, right, these are our society members. We're getting more and more of them each edition to go and check out the digital format. I wouldn't say that we are 100% digital acceptance level, I guess that's the right word, engagement or acceptance level yet, but it is increasing each time we put another digital version out. So I would think it would probably be maybe 6 issues, 8 issues, what's that? So that's like, um, 18 months to 24 months. I think that's just a nice gradual acceptance level. I wouldn't have expected it to be 100% engagement right out of the door. I think, again, we've had a print format for 20 years. To just turn it on a dime, I think it would be kind of crazy to think that would happen. I think I would actually prefer a gradual acceptance, and at the same time, a gradual increase, like I said before, in feedback and in input. You as the readers, help us understand what you want to see. And we are certainly more than happy to, take those ideas and your stories and all of your input into consideration. We still have an editorial board, right? We're not going to just make something just because it looks pretty and it's, whiz bang online. I mean, we can, but I think we still want to make sure that there's a value that the members want to get out of this particular channel. Right. We are doing, Beth had listed out, we do have a blog. We do have in-person programs. We have virtual programming. We do promotional emails. We do informational emails. So, at some point we want to make sure that we're covering all the bases and we're having that nice stream of content through all of our channels. This is the one where we want to make sure that people continue to come back and then provide that information so we continue to make, new and different each time.
That's fantastic. And so it's funny, Heather's asking about for a publication that doesn't have outside advertising, because a lot of nonprofits don't do that because they're not structured the same way that you are. How to keep member donations coming in a digital platform. In this one, we haven't yet started to use it for donations or we haven't put direct asks in it yet, but we're gonna, I'm considering it. I don't know if you guys are. And it's funny, somebody else was asking, have we been using the digital content to actively court new audiences? In this case, it's actually the opposite. It's been a member benefit. And one of the challenges that Erin has is that she's on the marketing side, but the magazine is executed by her team, but there's a membership team that typically owns the member and the member experience. So there's a little push and pull between that to try and make everyone happy. And so far, the only people that have seen this are these members. We're not yet using this magazine because it's it's a benefit of membership, which is part of why there's a great opportunity to maybe create some other things using the technology to kind of see how other audiences might interact and act with it. But one of the things, so first of all, Heather, I am a believer, and I bet Erin, you probably are too, that great long form outcome driven, this is the impact of your participation, your engagement in this organization. Is it just that alone is a really great way to get people focusing on, contributing and giving back. Heather, I'm curious, do you have a vehicle in your print magazine? Do you have the envelope put in there? Is there a direct ask on the pages? Are you saying that it generates a lot of revenue because you get envelopes back from it? Yeah. Okay. So you got an envelope and a postcard. So, and I can tell you, I'm all jazzed up about this because I think it's really amazing, really cool. I love what we can do about it, but I still love print. So in no way would I say, oh my God, scrap, just what Erin's saying, you don't just scrap all your print and go to this. It's a little bit of, at the moment, a yes and can we maybe maximize our use of print by strategically using it in a specific way, while then also potentially reducing costs, helping with accessibility, helping with SEO, helping with mobile, kind of having, meeting all the things. I feel in general, all of marketing these days is yes and, isn't it? But one of the things that I would love to try doing in this, so we can bring HTML code into what we're doing. We can do APIs, we can connect things in. So if you have, on digital, if you have a donation form, you can, what we can do is we can embed a donation form right live, an online digital donation form right into the publication, if that's something that is valuable. We have yet to test whether that works or whether it works better or not as well as people giving envelopes back. If anybody wants to test it, let me know. So we're at time now. So I just want to thank you all for coming. Thank you all. Tell me, like, was this helpful? Did you learn some like unique things about a different way to do things? I hope it was valuable. And Megan, if you want to pop that link back into the chat one more time, if anybody like wants to continue this conversation, if you have projects that you'd like to consider, if you just like to learn a little bit more, please book some time with me. I'm like obviously really interested in talking about this now. And we'd love to have a chat with you. So you will get the recording to this if there's anybody else on your team that needs to hear about it. And Erin, I just want to end with thank you for coming on and like sharing with everyone what your experience, like what your case study is about, how it works, what you did, and how it's evolving. I love to talk about things that are still kind of in real time, you know, like this, it's nice to talk about things that like, yay, and now it's a success. But we don't always talk about things that are like, this is still a work in progress, but it's new and it's exciting. So we thought it would be fun for you guys to hear about just a different way to think about the potential in publication. So I hope it was useful. I'm so glad you guys are seeming to like it. Thank you both for all of your great questions. And Misty, I just want to pop in Misty. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with doing this in InDesign, and all of you that shared how you're handling your publications and different ways. When we all come together and share the examples and all the ideas and the things that we're doing, we all learn better and get new tools and new ideas and ways to try things. So I love that you guys all come and show up for these conversations. Thank you very much. Next month, we're going to be talking about celebrating anniversaries. So we hope to see you again. I'd love to chat with anybody that wants to have a conversation. Take care, and hopefully we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Beth. Thanks, everybody. Have a
Thanks,
great day.
Erin.